Well, stop me if you've heard this before, but there is yet another layer, another chapter to the ongoing Diontae Johnson saga in Baltimore. And we've got all that and more to discuss throughout the course of today's live stream. Welcome inside the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset. And as always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. It is brought to you today by Primary Residential Mortgage. More on them in just a bit. What do I mean specifically by this new layer, this new chapter? Well, the Ravens just tweeted this out within the last hour or so as John Harbaugh was sitting down for his Monday weekly press conference. Here's the quote and the statement from the team. We have mutually agreed with Diontae Johnson to excuse him from team activities this week. Well, it's Steelers week, of course, and that is his former team. It's also the week that he technically was supposed to have been available and have fulfilled his one-game suspension, which sidelined him from last week's practices and, of course, sidelined him from yesterday's game in the Meadowlands against the New York Giants. What's even more interesting is what changed between now and yesterday pregame when Mike Garafolo of NFL Network had this to say about the current, at that point, status of the situation between the two parties.
Here at MetLife Stadium, where Tommy DeVito will play today for the Giants, Diontae Johnson will not play for the Ravens, serving that one-game suspension for a conduct detrimental to the team after the team said he refused to go into the game against the Eagles. But this is not like the Devondre Campbell situation with the 49ers from a couple of days ago. The hope is that Johnson, who is expected to return to the building on Monday, will find his way back into the good graces of this team and be a key contributing factor for them down the stretch. He only has one catch since they acquired him in a trade, and they're hopeful that that will change down the stretch. No reason to believe at this point that he won't suit up for the team again.
Okay, so again, that was pregame on Sunday prior to the Giants game from Mike Garafolo, saying that this is not like the Devondre Campbell situation in San Francisco. By the way, he was just suspended 3 games. They're attempting to recoup, I think, a portion of the $3+ million signing bonus that they gave Campbell to come to San Francisco this season. And we all remember on Thursday Night Football last week that he refused to enter the game when his number was called, much like Diontae did during the Philadelphia game. So then Mike goes on to say the hope is that Johnson, who is expected to return to the building today, which is not happening and did not happen, will find his way back into the good graces of this team and be a key contributing factor for them down the stretch. No reason to believe at this point that he won't suit up for the team again. Again, that was prior to this, the statement that I just read off the top. We have mutually agreed with Diontae Johnson to excuse him from team activities this week. You already know John Harbaugh was in no mood to talk about it, but he had to. The team literally released the statement as he was sitting down for his press conference. So, of course, right off the top, he fielded 2 questions.
Really, to be honest with you, and all I'm really thinking about right now is Pittsburgh and getting our team ready for Pittsburgh. So he won't be here this week, and next week will take care of itself.
John, I guess just one quick follow-up on that. I mean, why did you guys decide to handle it that way and not simply release it?
I'm really interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers, to be honest with you. I know you guys want to hear the story. There's a lot of moving parts. There are reasons for doing things that are front office type reasons, Do I want to sit here and get into all the different calculations that Eric makes? I really don't. I want to think about Pittsburgh and our team getting ready for Pittsburgh and the guys who are going to be here playing against Pittsburgh. That's my focus, 100%.
So 2 questions, 2 answers, 2 non-answers in a sense, and they are on to Pittsburgh. Well, guess what? Diontae should be on to Pittsburgh as well. This is his former team, and this is a team that the Ravens are trying to split their season series with. This is a team that's their most bitter rival and that's given Lamar Jackson the biggest headache throughout his 7 years in this league. And this is a team that currently stands in the way of an AFC North title if you are Baltimore. the Ravens still very much control their own destiny. If you win this head-to-head matchup coming up on Saturday, not only do you extend your chances of winning the division, but you keep Pittsburgh away from doing so. So if the Ravens win on Saturday, that takes Pittsburgh's chances away, at least from winning the division for another week. And we know the Steelers and their schedule down the stretch is no joke. They just lost to Philadelphia yesterday, and they still have Cincinnati and Kansas City on the schedule on top of Baltimore. So that's what's coming up. And you would have hoped prior to the deadline last month that a guy like Diontae Johnson would at least be an option for you to serve as depth or to serve as a wide receiver 3 behind Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. That's not going to happen. And I don't know if he's ever going to play again for the Ravens, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But as Sarah noted on X here a short while ago, again, Diontae is no longer suspended, but he's yet to have been cut. The team did announce, as I just mentioned, that the two sides have, quote, mutually agreed to excuse him from team activities this week leading into week 16 against the Steelers. And Harbs pointed everything to that matchup away from these questions. Quote, what I foresee, really, to be honest with you, and all I'm really thinking about right now is Pittsburgh. So he won't be here this week, and next week will take care of itself. And when asked to follow up on why they didn't just release him, he said, quote, I'm really interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers, to be honest with you. I know you guys want to hear the story. There are a lot of moving parts. There are reasons for doing things that are front office type reasons. Do I want to sit here and get into all the different calculations that Eric makes? I really don't. I want to think about Pittsburgh and the guys who are going to be here playing against Pittsburgh. That's my focus 100%. So you're probably wondering, well, why the hell haven't they released him yet? Why haven't they suspended him again or on top of the 1-game suspension, kind of like Devondre Campbell just got? Again, that's a 3-game suspension for also refusing to go into the game for San Francisco last week. Well, Jeff Zaribek was asked that exact question. Why keep him? And in this case, Swam Dog here at Danny D15_ on X says, just play Tez Walker. Now, for the record, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Devontae down the stretch. It was a great opportunity for him yesterday, and he made the most of that opportunity. But I wouldn't rush to judgment here. I wouldn't get too carried away in terms of what Devontae Walker's role will be. Remember, this is a player who had been inactive 8 games total prior to yesterday, week 15. And Jeff notes and responds to Danny and says, look, either they don't want to give him the satisfaction of letting him go so he can sign where he wants to go to, kind of like you get the sense that San Francisco is trying to teach Devondre Campbell a lesson as well in that regard, or they don't want to set the precedent that if a player complains, they'll let them go for nothing. So make no mistake about it, I feel fairly confident here that Diontae Johnson has played his last snap, his last down as a Raven. There weren't many of them, by the way. And I think bigger picture now, I see some of you saying free Diontae. Taurus, free Diontae. What kind of smoke is that? Chris, he's in timeout. You're damn right he's in timeout. He has come to Baltimore, and all he's become is a headache. We can argue whether he has or hasn't been a distraction, and that's probably a conversation for another time. The reality is the Ravens gave very little up investment-wise, draft compensation-wise, to bring Diontae to Baltimore. And so there was very little risk. But what you're seeing is the reality is there's been very little reward as a result. Slim to none. Slim to no reward, matter of fact. He's 1 for 5 so far when Lamar targets him. He's caused a headache. He's been a problem. And I think a lot of people will go back and look at how his time in Pittsburgh ended. We'll look at how he handled some of his media obligations during his brief stint with Carolina earlier this year. And dare I say, you can kind of wave the finger and point the finger at him when it comes to diva, when it comes to disruptive to a locker room. And while the Ravens are saying and doing all the right things, particularly his teammates, Rashad and Zay and Lamar, when asked about it at the podium, this is clearly a situation that I don't know. It doesn't look to be solvable. I mean, if it's not solvable and this player can't help the Ravens get where they want to go, then there's really no reason in continuing this song and dance. It has become a saga. It may not be getting the national publicity that you might think or feel like it should because of the fact that you're in on it or you're a diehard fan or it's all that we've been talking about in recent weeks. But make no mistake about it, this is a total miss. I'm not saying it's a miss from the organization because they haven't invested anything in him. I'm saying it's a miss from the organization thinking that this would be a good fit. This is not a good fit. And I think the end of his time in Pittsburgh wasn't a good fit. The end of his time in Carolina, for a number of reasons, clearly wasn't a good fit. And that's where things currently stand between number 18 and Baltimore, who, again, if you're just tuning in, has been excused. And apparently it was a mutual agreement to excuse him from team activities this week in what is a big week for the team if they have AFC North aspirations. If they have aspirations of trying to chip away at what's become kryptonite in a sense, and that is performing successfully and efficiently against the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout the Lamar Jackson era. This is a big week. The AFC North title and that division is very much still up for grabs. And everything is still within the Ravens' control. You win out over the next 3 weeks, which I find to be unlikely. I think they drop one of the next two. And my guess is it's going to be Christmas Day in Houston on a short week. That would be my guess. I predicted them to go 3-1 out of the bye. Already off to a 1-0 start. Obviously, that's the least surprising thing. But those are my thoughts. I think they lose one of the next two. It ends up becoming a tiebreaker of the division for the division, which will ultimately come down to division record. And then if it's still tied there, it'll move to conference record. And that's where Pittsburgh has the advantage over Baltimore. And do not be surprised if in a few weeks from now, we're looking back at that week 2 loss to Vegas and that week 8 loss to Cleveland as games that you may not have known it then, but certainly you know now that they're coming to be pretty significant in how this AFC playoff picture shapes out and obviously how this division is ultimately decided. I appreciate you guys for being with me. We got a little bit of a breaking news live stream going on as it relates to Diontae Johnson. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. I continue to get great support from PRMI, and I hope you'll consider supporting them if you are in the home buying market. And with the holiday season officially here, we are full-fledged holidays right now. You may be looking for a way to access extra cash for gifts and celebrations alike. If that's the case, I got a solution for you. Primary Residential Mortgage's cash out refinance lets you tap into your home's equity, which allows you to access the funds you need for your holiday shopping and festivities. And on top of that, PRMI is going to cover your closing costs up to $750 on applications that are submitted by February 9th of 2025. And it's super simple. I'll take you through a quick little screen share right now. And if you click on the link that's included in the show notes, and it's also a pinned comment right now in the live chat, it'll take you to Primary Residential Mortgage's website and my specific landing page where you can contact them easily by filling out this form right here. There I am right here. And you can apply, again, by clicking on this apply now yellow button. It's super simple. It's really easy. I hope you take advantage of this special offer that's available to you. Again, you can apply through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website today. Just mention my name as you go throughout your application process and make this holiday season even brighter. So again, all the information can be found in the show notes, and I appreciate Primary Residential Mortgage for their continued support. Some other news and from press conferences included Justin Tucker and John Harbaugh mentioning that the Ravens wanted to give Jordan Stout a feel for kicking off in a game. And that's exactly what we saw, him handling some kickoff duties. And as Jonas Schaefer noted, it didn't seem as if they're permanently moving off from Justin Tucker from a kickoff perspective, but to have that option, as John Harbaugh directly said, is a plus, and perhaps that takes something off of Justin's plate. He was 5 for 5 from extra points, did not attempt a field goal, didn't need to in yesterday's route, but I found that to be notable just in terms of some of the potential special teams adjustments that Chris Horton and company probably tooled around with throughout the bye. And I think whether it was that or Desmond King getting an opportunity to be the punt return specialist over Tylan Wallace, which paid early dividends against the Giants. I liked some of the adjustments that were made. I liked the specialty. I think there was only one special teams penalty, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was when Rasheen Ali had a chance to return it. Don't quote me on that. I believe that was in the second half. So a good step in the right direction for special teams. As for Trenton Simpson, John Harbaugh said they're hoping to take some pressure off of him, second-year player out of Clemson. He did not play until late in the game, really during garbage time. Harbs was quoted for saying he's a young guy. He can take a breath a little bit. He said the dip in playing time, again, will be good for him. And they're happy with Chris Board and Malik Harrison, who were rotating alongside Roquan Smith. So, again, it was a demotion, at least for the day, perhaps for the short-term future when it comes to Trenton Simpson. And it's no coincidence that adjustment, along with Ardarius Washington and Kyle Hamilton taking over full-time on the back end of the secondary, I don't think it's a coincidence that we've seen some of the best Roquan play as a result. He was the highest graded Raven according to PFF. He was flying around the field. He looks like he's got that pep in his step again. And that's a big deal for the Ravens, who obviously in the beginning part of the year, in the middle part as well, this was a player that did not look like Agent Zero. Seemed to be a half step behind, was struggling in underneath pass coverage. And I think not having that dependability, right, not being able to have a certain amount of reliability and trust on the back end at the time when Marcus Williams was in the back, Eddie Jackson at times, that can be a hard world to live in. And I think you're seeing immediate dividends here for Roquan Smith. So again, do I think it's time to write off Trenton Simpson? No, not in any way. But I do think that this is important and beneficial for Roquan in the short term. I see a lot of you still chatting in the live chat about this Diontae Johnson conversation. Kamal Crush says Diontae's a great receiver. I don't know what the Ravens are doing. Well, look, I know exactly what they're doing. This is a player who, look, not only has the player mutually agreed with the team to be excused from team activities this week on a week that they'll play for the division, essentially his former team, but this is a player that when push came to shove and his number was called in a Philadelphia game against the NFC's best, or one of the NFC's best, probably going to come down to Philadelphia and Detroit. Maybe Minnesota will have something to say about that. He refused to enter the game. How is that what the Ravens are doing to him? He wasn't promised anything. Now, I wasn't in the room for those conversations prior to the acquisition, but let's be clear. The Ravens gave up very little to bring him in the building. I don't care about the body of work. Oftentimes, I have seen more often than not from some of you in the chat on social media that point to his body of work. What have you done for me lately? Diontae is absolutely a man beater. And this is a dude who's super talented and can absolutely be a wide receiver 2 or 3 successfully for Baltimore. But the Ravens don't owe him anything. It didn't end well for him in Pittsburgh. It didn't end well for him in Carolina. And this is a team that's getting a career year right now out of its former first rounder in Rashad Bateman. Zay Flowers is potentially bound for his first Pro Bowl season, which would become the first Ravens homegrown wide receiver to earn a Pro Bowl nod. And it's one of the deepest, if not the deepest, tight end rooms in the entire league. So what's this about the Ravens holding Diontae Johnson back? I don't buy that for 1 second. They got him. Here's why they got him. Kamal Crush is going back and forth in the live chat with. Appreciate the conversation. The reason why you got Diontae was, one, because it cost nothing. He was essentially free. And two, for insurance. I know Torres is chiming in right now, and I know he's ready to go. He's going to be, I can already sense it. He's going to say, this dude's body of work is better than anybody in this Ravens wide receiver room. And he would be correct on that. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm going to let him speak for himself in just a second here. But it's less about what have you done for me lately and more about what are you doing for me right now, for this team right now? Are you a good fit? Or are you taking away from what we're trying to do collectively in this organization? And it feels as if it's been the latter since Diontae got here. Don't think he's a bad guy, but certainly since he's gotten to Baltimore, headaches have continued to come around, and the latest chapter of this saga has officially arrived. All right, I put too many words in his mouth, so let's allow him to speak for himself right now. Taurus, then Manny, good to see you, brother. How are you, man? Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays to you, Bobby, man. Yeah, listen, don't misconstrue me saying free Diontae as I'm all Diontae Johnson fanned out. No, to be quite honest, I didn't even want Diontae Johnson on the team, but he was here for depth for whatever reason. All right, get past that. My main thing in saying free Diontae is, if, like you said, Bobby, if we're not getting nothing from him and all these questions keep coming about why he's not playing, why he's not at practice, X, Y, and Z, then just let the man go. I don't care nothing about the competition of other teams might sign him. I don't care nothing about the no comp pick. Let the man go so we don't got to keep dealing with this every week. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. I just don't see the point in keeping him on the team is my thing. That's why I'm saying free him.
Well, it sure seems to me like, similarly to what's going on in San Francisco right now, this is actually by principle. I think they got him by the balls right now. I think that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to set a precedent. Meanwhile, Josina Anderson, of course, Odell Beckham Jr. is expected to officially clear waivers today, and he was just released last week. I know some of you don't want to talk about this, but at least let's just get into it and have a conversation around it. Yeah. Oh, look, OBJ expected, not a surprise here, to officially clear waivers today. He was just released last week by Miami, and Josina notes that in her opinion, it would be best to let the process go by. This not only gives prospect teams more time to assess the fit, but also permits a veteran player to choose the most stable situation to punctuate their career. So my thoughts on this are, look, do I think this would be needle moving even in the slightest? No, I don't. But it certainly would be a better situation than what they currently have going on with Diontae Johnson. So if he's available, you can literally bring him in for, I think it was $200,000. I think that would fulfill, I want to say that was what it was. I got to go back and look from last week, but just because this came out from Josina a few minutes ago, so I'm going off the fly. But I'll ask you, and I'll ask the live chat, would you welcome a reuniting for just a month or 2 months if they plan on making a run, reuniting with OBJ, who spent just last year in Baltimore?
I kind of got a bitter taste in my mouth just how it wasn't OBJ's fault. He asked for what he asked for, but I kind of got a bitter taste in how EDC handled that. Speaking of EDC, I hate to get off track, but another thing to point out about Diontae too. EDC said he didn't do his homework when he went to sign Earl Thomas. I'm trying to figure out, well, what did you do with Diontae then? And and to fast forward to the OBJ situation, you paid him all that money and we didn't even get no return on investment from it. So maybe it might be a good thing, but I'm just a little bitter about how it ended last season. So,
I still can't believe he admitted that about Earl. I kind of appreciate his humility, the humility, but then obviously it makes you think like, well, okay, well, if he hadn't done it then, and that was, now granted, that was one of his first big decisions as general
Right.
manager. He's come a
You would think he
long
would
way
learn.
since then. He's come a long way since then. I appreciate the humility on that one. And I think there's a lot of people that would have dumped a lot of money at a future Hall of Famer and Earl Thomas at that point, not knowing, right, that he would become a total locker room cancer. And I can call him that. I was in the locker room that year. That was 2019. And while Earl went on to have a Pro Bowl season that year, people forget that, right? That was a Pro Bowl year for Earl.
Crazy.
He was so checked out. It was unbelievable. I mean, this was a dude that had such a aura about him, such an entitlement
The cockiness, yeah.
Speaking of what have you done for me lately, that dude felt like he was living, and granted, he still played. I mean, aside from that Derrick Henry stiff arm, he was a baller for that secondary in 2019, right? But this almost like this entitlement to the point where he's still living off of, and he expected to be treated because of his Seattle resume. I couldn't believe it. There were times in that locker room.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I think he said something about he's better than Ed Reed or something like that recently this year. I could be wrong, but I swear he did. But yeah,
he went on Joe Cena's show. He thinks he's like the greatest safety of all time. And look, you can appreciate somebody that speaks with conviction and has confidence. You don't get to the NFL, obviously, without all that and more, and the willpower and the fortitude and so on and so forth. But when you listen to that episode, or first of all, he looks completely different. But when he was on there with Joe Cena, it's hard not to scoff listening to him because it just comes across as tone deaf. But that is neither here nor there. Anything else you got for me, brother?
That was pretty much it. Don't get it misconstrued, y'all. I ain't all for Diontae Johnson. I'm just saying if we don't need him on the team, let him go. Let him roam, man.
Appreciate you for calling, brother. Good to see you, man.
No problem, Bobby, man. Be safe, man.
Catch up with you soon. Yep, for sure. And if you're just wondering, by the way, if you're just tuning in, what the hell is going on? The latest twist here and another bizarre turn comes in the form of a statement released by the Ravens earlier this afternoon that they have mutually agreed with Diontae Johnson to excuse him from team activities this week. He had just become eligible to be active coming off suspension today. We had heard reports yesterday from Mike Garafolo of NFL Network that he was indeed going to return to the building and he was going to be an available option for the Ravens. That is not the case. That is where things currently stand right now. John Harbaugh, just a short while ago, addressed reporters and was asked two questions right off the top of his press conference because the statement had literally just been released prior to him stepping up to the podium.
Really, to be honest with you, and all I'm really thinking about right now is Pittsburgh and getting our team ready for Pittsburgh. So he won't be here this week, and next week will take care of itself.
John, I guess just one quick follow-up on that. I mean, why did you guys decide to handle it that way and not simply release it?
I'm really interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers, to be honest with you. I know you guys want to hear the story. There's a lot of moving parts. There are reasons for doing things that are front office type reasons, you know. Do I want to sit here and get into all the different calculations that Eric makes? I really don't. I want to think about Pittsburgh and our team getting ready for Pittsburgh and the guys who are going to be here playing against Pittsburgh. That's my focus, 100%.
Yeah, it's not exactly the topic that he probably wants to be spending oxygen on leading into not do or die, but if you want the division, yes, it is a do or die game coming up on Saturday at the Bank. It is a 4:30 kickoff on Fox. It will be the A-team. Tom Brady, Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Rinaldi. Should be a fantastic game. Let's get some more reaction. If you guys want to call in and give me your reaction to this latest twist for Diontae Johnson, you can do so by clicking on the link that's a pinned comment in the live chat. That is how you access the show. I would love to get some call-ins, get some perspectives on what the fan base is thinking based on what's taking place right now. Let's go down to Virginia. Dreams just popped on. Manny, will come to you in just a second. I see you getting some sun out there in Mexico City. Brother, Quion, good to see you, brother. Merry Christmas.
What's up, Bobby?
Did I get the pronunciation right this time?
Yeah. That's right this time.
All right, good. Give me your reaction to this.
I don't know. This is kind of a tricky situation. I just feel like he really doesn't want to be here. I think it's a useless thing. Like I think he feels like he should be getting more reps or getting more targets. I guess he felt like with Rashad going down the Eagles game that that wasn't the way he wanted to earn his keep. But I don't know. This is it's kind of weird. I think he needs to just go ahead and get up out of here. Honestly, I'm not against signing OBJ. I feel like his leadership will be welcome into the locker room like it was last year. I think everybody enjoyed him being there last year. Now, granted, he didn't, he wasn't worth the money that we gave him, but I just feel like it'll be like a voice that, will be well respected in his wide receiver room.
I would agree. He's expected to clear waivers today, by the way, after being released last week by Miami. This is a dude who got a lot of money. What was it, 16 M's or something like that for last year, and certainly didn't live up to that. But he didn't take away from what they were trying to do either. Matter of fact, he leaned into it and was a great fit, especially for what was at the time, and still is in a sense, a very young wide receiver room. Guys like Rashad Bateman grew up watching and idolizing somebody who became his teammate. So I think that there's some value to it there. It would be very, very, what's the right word too? Cheap to bring him in, low risk as well. But you got to resolve the Diontae Johnson situation first. And I think as Jeff noted earlier on, when somebody asked him on X, why keep him? He's like, look, either they don't want to give him the satisfaction of letting him go so he can sign wherever he wants to go, or they don't want to set the precedent that if a player complains, they'll let them go for nothing. So listen, this is going nowhere fast. I hope everybody understands that. It's funny. I was thinking yesterday after the Mike Garafolo report that, maybe just maybe, right? Maybe there's a chance that he'll be back in the building and play a role against his former team, because that's what the reporting indicated might happen.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, but that is not happening. And I can't imagine. At this point, I'd be surprised if he ever plays another down for the Ravens.
I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't look like it's happening. Like, this team isn't really like deep with a wide receivers. I think Tom Munkers just throws people in certain situations. Why Diontae hasn't really been thrown into more of the equation, I don't know. I mean, I understand he has to learn most of the playbook, but like, why not give him a shot? I mean, Nelly is not like he's not like making great strides to stay at number 3. I mean, I feel like it's up for grabs, honestly. That's why they rotate him and Tylen so much. I don't know.
Not getting any opportunities. I mean, he had a hell of a catch yesterday and slammed his head down and took him out of the game and took himself out of the game not long after. And Tylen almost went for 6 had he not gotten
he didn't get tripped up. Yeah, he would have been gone.
Oh, he was close. He was close for going for 6. There's something about the left-hand sideline and going for 6 that Tylen just loves. But
yeah, that is true. He'll get more opportunities for sure. But yeah, that was almost 6 yesterday.
I see a lot of people thinking this is as simple as promoting Devontae Walker. Remember, what have I said from the jump? I have heard that he was not NFL ready, which is why I think that led to 8 inactives. Look, it was a hell of a catch yesterday. And Queon, I'm going to let you go, brother. Thanks for the call, man.
All right. Appreciate it.
Hope you soon. Yep. Who you whistling to, by the way? Who you whistling to?
Oh, traffic. You want to see the puppy?
I lost my train of thought for a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the dogs. Traffic.
No, you're good.
Where's she at? Come here.
That's right. You got all kinds of dogs and chickens and animals down there, don't you?
Nah. I mean, I just have this. This is my oldest one.
Oh, look at this.
This is Envy, and that's Tropic.
Look at
that's her puppy. Yeah.
Oh, they're cute as heck. Look at these two. They love Pops, too. I love it.
Yeah, there's spoil riding for sure.
Good to you, man. Enjoy yourself out there. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, you too, Bobby. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Yep. Queon down there in Central Virginia. I completely lost my train of thought now. I think it was related to, Devontae's. Like, what I've heard from the jump is that he's not NFL ready, and I've shared that with you a number of times here on the channel. It's not coincidence that against a Giants team that is lowly and going nowhere fast that they gave him an opportunity. Now, credit to Tez, he made the most of that opportunity with a beautiful toe-tapping touchdown and a nice ball there from Lamar. But, I'm just not going to sit here and think that all of a sudden he's going to become wide receiver 3 down the stretch. I mean, this is a guy who's gotten very, very little NFL experience so far, aside from special teams. Certainly something to build off of yesterday. But I don't think the easy fix is in-house, if you will. Wide receiver 3 is very much up for grabs. Manny's been waiting down in Mexico City. Good to see you, brother. You are outside your room and you are in the wild.
I'm not quite in the wild. I'm just waiting for my car to be clean. So, how's it going, everyone?
Give me your reaction, brother. The latest is here. It feels like a weekly segment that we're doing on Diontae. So what do you think?
What I think Diontae was told something, and then Harbs did something completely 180. That's my thing, because if you know Diontae is hungry for balls and everything, pause,
Pause.
pause, then you know that you have to get him up to speed, at least in the simple plays.
Uh-oh. All right, we'll come back to Manny. What up, Joel?
Oh man, he froze. I was hoping he had something. Hey, Bobby. I was going to ask you, do you have the clip of when I think Diontae when he first got here, his press conference clip? I don't know if you have that.
What are you thinking of that he said?
No, because I'm trying to read his body language, because I talked to, I think it was Torres a couple weeks ago about that. And he's like, yeah, well, body. I mean, he could be just saying it just for the cameras or something. So I just want to see that and get my gist of it. See like if I can take anything from that.
Yeah, nothing that I can pull up immediately, but I do have Ryan Clark that you might remember. Listen to this.
Okay.
As a brotherhood, he should never play again.
Oh, I can't play that.
Ever again? Ever again? Why would you want him on your team?
So you're going to judge him in his... I have a hard time judging a man in his worst moment. It's been worse atrocities that happened on a football team than him refusing to go in. So Diontae Johnson should never play again.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Why would I want him on my team?
But I think
That's the brotherhood speaking right there. So I don't know if that's reflective or representative of what they're feeling internally in Baltimore, but that is a former player and an in-division team and his former team who's got a lot of Pittsburgh contacts. I would not be surprised if the Ravens have handled it the complete opposite way that San Francisco has, at least publicly, but actually feel similarly internally, and they're just handling it professionally on the outside.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like Campbell's situation, it was right in your face. Like you saw him walk off. We all thought, all right, it was an injury going on. I mean, I didn't watch the game particularly. I was, at work, but they said, well, it was just an injury. But turns out it was the complete opposite. He just said, I quit. I'm not playing.
Straight up
told him, like, I don't want to do this. Basically quit on his teammates and just said, I'm done.
And you know what, Sarah and I kind of got into like a back and forth within the last couple of weeks about like whether or not it was a distraction, right? And I think that there could be a difference between a distraction, which I'm not going to call it that, and I think we had, she wasn't either. Certainly, she referred to it as really, I can't remember what her 1 to 10 scale was, but I'm pretty sure it was like a 1 or a 2. And so, but my thought was, even if it's not a distraction, clearly it's had an effect in the locker room. Enough to the point where the organization is now slapping his wrists.
Yeah.
Right. And so that to me, while it may not be a distraction, it's certainly not helping them in any way get to where they want to go. And so eventually along the way, even if it's not a distraction, can that actually be a detriment in some way? And I think it can be.
Yeah, I understand. I think what we're going to look for these past couple weeks is how they handle it. Now, if they just rack off wins like that, we won't even be mentioning it unless something else occurs. So we don't know what's going to happen between now and then when they obviously, I guess they're going to get to the playoffs. We know that, but we don't know how they're going to handle the situation with Diontae, whether he wants to stay on the team or he doesn't. That's completely up to him. When they brought him in, like you said, he was just like an insurance policy, like just in case like someone like Rashad Bateman, who actually did goes down, and he will be inserted into the lineup and go into the game at that point. And then we all looking at the time when we was looking at like I said, when we was looking at the Eagles game and then saw him with the hoodie on and just standing there like, is he hurt? Is something going on here?
Yep.
And then turns out that he just refused to go into the game. And it was just like, why would you want to not go into the game in that situation when your team would need
Why
you?
would any one of your peers want to suit up with you in the trenches
Yeah,
and
I mean, this is
go to
another.
war down the stretch to chase a Super Bowl when you just got in the building? The Ravens don't owe you shit. That's what drives me nuts. If there's one thing that really bothers me about certain fan comments, it's that the free Diontaes, why? They're punishing him, and deservedly so. His number was called in a big-time game, could have been a big-time opportunity against Philadelphia, and he declined. He didn't answer the bell against his former team. He ran out of bounds one time. I guess that wasn't the best ball ever by Lamar.
Yeah, that was
Lost his footing on one point right before the half. So, like,
Yeah.
he hasn't – I get it. 5 opportunities is a super small sample size. But those of you out there that feel as if Diontae Johnson is owed something by the Ravens, I ask you, please call in and tell me what that is. What do the Ravens owe Diontae Johnson?
Yeah,
Jack.
I mean, this is why, unfortunately, I say Pittsburgh got rid of him. And then, I mean, he had his moments where he was good in Carolina. He had a great statistical going about when he was in Carolina. But it's just like, in that moment, you're either going to act like a professional and say, all right, I'm going to do this for the team, or you're just going to be selfish and say, no, screw this. I want my contract. He's looking for a contract, obviously. This is not the way to go about it.
No, it's not at all. Matter of fact, you're taking away from your candidacy to get a contract at some point this upcoming offseason. Jewel, I'm going to keep it going, brother. The live chat's rolling right now. Guest lines are cooking. Thank you for the super chat earlier today. I've been thinking about you. Talk soon, all right?
All right, appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you for the wishes.
Thanks, man. Yeah, of course. Thanks for the call. Jewel just lost his grandmother. He learned recently, so had to get him in here. Let's get some new faces involved as well. Mr. K chiming in. We'll go. I see Garnett down there. Let's go. This is a jam-packed. Judah's here. Chef Trez, Manny, we'll get to you in a little bit if you got some good Wi-Fi. But I think we got a first-time caller, and I always make way for a first-time caller. What's up, dude? Welcome in.
How's it going, Bobby?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah. So I recently been under the impression that I think we should bring Zay out on punt return. Just because, with last weekend, that might not be the case. But, field position's everything. They kind of showed in that game. And, just thinking back to when the Steelers had Antonio Brown returning their punts.
So just to be clear, you think Zay Flowers should be the punt return specialist? Is that what you're saying?
Just to get that ball in his hands. It may. I hear the point of the increased injuries may happen, but get the ball in the playmaker's hands, just like how AB was back there at one point, and the better field position means everything, especially down the stretch. Maybe not for the rest of the regular season, but in postseason, I do believe that should be an option to be looked at.
I hear you. I'm sure the buck might stop with the whole. Yeah, I hear you, and I think it's intriguing just because of the talents that Zay possesses. But I think there's a reason why they, kind of went with they were trying to give it to Tylen, and then of course the Philadelphia game, he just could not field them cleanly. And now you bring in Desmond King, who's mostly, going to be a special teamer for you, practice squad kind of player. But now it looks like he may have, at least for the short term, stolen Tylen's job, which is too bad because obviously Tylen was electric last year in that walk-off win against the Rams. But again, kind of the moral of the story, the theme of this episode is what have you done for me lately? And hasn't been enough for Tylen, so they had to make a change there. So any thoughts on the Diontae news?
No, I don't think he deserves a single ounce of playing time with what he did there. You're on the team to play. If you want more snaps, you got to prove it. And in order to prove it, you've got to go in when they need you to go in. And when you don't go in, I don't think you deserve that time.
Seems pretty simple. Thanks for the call, dude. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Yep, absolutely. Garnett, what's up, dude? Good to see you, brother. How's it going, man?
What's going on, man? Nice to hear from you, man. I'm doing good, bro. I can't complain about nothing in life. How about you?
No, you know it. It's a good time of year. December football's in full swing, and I did not expect to be doing essentially a weekly segment on Diontae Johnson, but here we are. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, man. So really, just I think you hit hit the nail on the head for the most part. Just to be a neutral guy, I'm a neutral person at heart. Just to look from both sides. I feel like he wasn't really given a great opportunity, but that could also, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. How fast he was picking up the playbook, or were we, throwing a lot at him? Was he was not ready? It's so many things that we'll never know until, probably like years from now or whatever. But, the reps that he did get, he tripped and fell or whatever, just a lot of, it's hard to judge him on that. But the character concerns, the one thing that we knew about him from his Pittsburgh days is just his the immaturity.
The volatility. There's a certain level of volatility, and that's why it's so surprising when the Ravens decide to take a flyer. And that's really what it is, right? This was essentially low risk, medium to high level reward, and they've gotten no risk, obviously, but they've gotten zero reward from it. And so what's so surprising, though, is when the Ravens, who are so fundamentally sound organizationally, take a flyer on a player and it goes so quickly south the way this has. That's what's jarring about this. This is very un-Raven-like.
Facts, big facts on that. It's crazy because, like, a lot of us, as older Raven fans or the ones who've been around the block and knew how, the team was led by Ed, Ray and Sizzle and all those guys they had locker room control. But it just seems like from the whole from Eddie Jackson, the situation with him, what's the other guy we just got or we had basically let go or we don't even use? Just a whole, Marcus Williams, basically. It just seems like something we're never going to know, but it just seems like a lot going on. But at least for those two guys, they handled it respectfully and maturely. Just, hey, it's what it is. We're going to keep it behind closed doors, and we'll go from there for the most part.
Yeah, there's a certain level of professionalism that you expect when you become a Raven or become an NFL player at that, and Diontae just has not exemplified any of that, at least from the outside looking in, as we learn more and more about this story. And of course, the latest layer, if you're just tuning in, is the fact that the statement that came out earlier this afternoon reads as follows: we have mutually agreed with Diontae Johnson on the day that he was supposed to become eligible, by the way, to be available post-suspension, to excuse him from team activities this week. And oh, by the way, it's just week 16 with a division on the line, and it's against your former frickin' team. You can imagine how much that one is salt in the wound for him, but he only has one person to blame, and it's the dude that looks back at him when he's looking in the mirror in the morning. Garnett, appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much for the support. I always see you getting after it, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, sir. I'll be in Baltimore Friday, man.
Oh, awesome. You should come to the hit me up. I'd love to have you at the tailgate, all right?
All right, brother.
Catch you, man. Thank you guys for being with me today. Over 900 of you concurrently joining me for what became just one of the earlier live streams that I've done in terms of like 2.0, since Sarah and I are at noon every single day, just because this came out right as John Harbaugh's press conference began. So I was like, I might as well hop on this. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Tongsley hits me with a $20 super chat donation, which is always appreciated. Tongsley writes, we have been so lucky over the years that the Ravens know how to handle these situations, not letting them fester. I have faith they will do what's best for the team. And I would agree. It's just what's so surprising is the clear misses just within the last couple months. The miss on the latter half of free agency with Eddie Jackson, who became a headache and really had very little left. Again, not a miss because you gave up a lot to get him. A miss because you just straight up missed on the fit, right? On the fit, on the conduct side of things. And then now with Diontae Johnson, again, not a miss because you gave up a whole lot. There was very little investment, if any. It was low risk, medium reward, and you got nothing. It was low risk and absolutely zero return. And if he's played his last down as a Raven, this will be one of the most strange acquisitions prior to a trade deadline in the history of the franchise. Back to the guest lines we go. They are jamming right now. I want to get to as many people as I possibly can. Let's get Trez involved. You've been holding for a minute. What's up, dude?
It's not too often that I call on here and I start to my own horn saying, Bobby, I told you yesterday I was right. Diontae Johnson stock down. When you're coming off of a bye, you have everyone who offensive wise, defensive wise as well, buying in. You got, Rashad Bateman playing out of his mind really throughout this whole season, but just coming off of two touchdown catches. Zay Flowers is always doing what he does. And him and Lamar damn near inseparable. Nelly is doing his part. Diontae literally got it, or Devontae got in there, caught a touchdown. So it's hard to look at this as like his stock is down. I mean, you don't have any room to negotiate. You really don't.
Zero. And it's funny. You're right, Tress. I mean, you were right. And this is what I was kind of basing some of my thoughts off yesterday, right? Which was the Garofolo pregame report that said, hey, he's expected to be back in the building. This is not like the Devondre Campbell situation, even though the exact same thing happened to these guys. Both of these guys refused to go into there for respective teams, but Garofolo was like, hey, he's going to be back in the building. He is eligible to come back and be available coming off the suspension. Well, not so much, because again, if you're just tuning in, this is the statement that came out earlier today that they've mutually agreed, meaning the Ravens and Diontae, to excuse him from team activities this week. So that is where things currently stand. And Trez, again, I continue to be perplexed by those that are out there that feel like the Ravens have him tied down or have him handcuffed. No. He handcuffed himself, guys. He handcuffed himself.
It is hard to look at it with any other lens than your conduct does not justify, like the rewards you want. It's so crazy because how I'm looking at for Diontae Johnson, do I think he would be an absolute step up from wide receiver 3 Nelson Aguilar? Yes, younger, able to get separation, everything. I mean, he's what you want in a wide receiver. Definitely more sure hands and stuff. But it's just, you got to earn it. I mean, for me, Army guy, you're not gonna show up, day one and be like, hey, make me a sergeant or something. Like, no, you got to earn it. You got to put the time in. You got to do the things to get you to that level. And
hey, can I go on a brief rant?
If it's about Army, Navy, Bobby, I'm a hang up. I'm a hang up, bro.
Listen, Horvath ran them out of the building. That was absurd. But it was reminiscent of Malcolm Perry in 2019 in Philadelphia. Like, that was an embarrassing performance by Army's defense. But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That my girl's been jeering, taking shots at me too, because she comes from a Navy side. So it's like,
nothing else left to be said there. But you and I are both being called. So I'm going to go on just a brief little mini rant, and we're going to get back to the guest lines, of course. You and I are both being called by Blowhard in the live chat bootlickers because of our stance on this. So as I always do, Trez, this is one of my favorite things to do, because I consider myself a very welcoming person, a very inclusive person. Slister59, I am inviting you to click on the link that's in the show notes. It's actually a pinned comment in the live chat, and put your money where that big mouth is. Come on in and come talk the way you are right now in the chat on screen in front of everybody. We got 928 people that are looking right at you right now. We're all waiting for you to come in here and come talk.
Again,
it's an open invitation.
Line's there. It's free.
The line is there. It's super safe. If you have an iPhone, you can easily click in. All right. And may I have this dance, Slister? May I have this dance? Come on. I'd love to have you after Chef. All right. What else you got for me, brother?
So other than that, I mean, I was watching more clips of the game again. Again, there are just bits and pieces there where it's like, I feel great about the offense. Now, granted, it's against the New York Giants. They're not winning the Super Bowl in probably next, let's say 7 years, 10 years, who knows. But they're not going anywhere in the playoffs. They haven't even made the playoffs. It's been a shit show. So that's where it's like my optimism stops, because it's like, this wasn't a real team. As my best friend, who was a Giants fan, said, we beat a college level team. That's where it stops for me. So it's the execution that we had on offense was good. It was better than past couple of weeks. However, there were still glaring issues, i.e. my biggest one, when Lamar is taking off and running. It seems as though some guys aren't really giving it full effort. There was a play where Lamar took off running. Tyler Linderbaum, the center, came over, literally running with Lamar, laid a guy out to where Lamar was able to still kind of took a hit, but he was able to do it and still kind of protect himself. If you're not out there blocking, with your whole heart, you leave your quarterback to take a big hit and possibly get injured. Yeah. I don't have faith in Josh Johnson.
No.
I'm just saying the offense, they got to block better. They got to do better.
Thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate you. Keep licking those wounds, all right? Oh, Dre, what's going on, dude? Good to see you, man.
What's up, man? How you feeling? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I'm great. Again, as I've said multiple times, I did not expect this to become a weekly thing, but apparently that's where we're at.
Devon, yeah, he has become quite polarizing for the Ravens. What I will say is we probably won't know from the Ravens side, and I don't think Diontae will share it until he's securely with a team. But I wonder, what was the conversation when he came in? Was he, we're going to get you involved, or was he? Did they let it be known that, hey, Diontae, we're bringing you in as an injury reserve, right? Like, if one of our guys goes down, you can come on in. We're going to let you rock the show. But, other than that, we don't have much commitment to you in that level. I just wonder what that conversation was. But even still, the one thing that you can't do is if you want to prove a point, the best time would have been to come in that game, catch 5 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. That speaks louder than any other protest that you could have done, as Diontae did. And I think he missed an opportunity for himself that, unfortunately, it may alter his career. Because the NFL, we've seen over the years guys like Terrell Owens, probably one of the top 5, not probably, but was one of the top 5 wide receivers in NFL history. But he couldn't get out of his own way. He just couldn't get out of his own way. So he may have made a career-altering decision by not coming in that game.
Couldn't agree more. And you wonder if a guy like Devondre Campbell is going to get another opportunity as well. And if they will get opportunities, these are going to be like, hey, okay, sure, we're going to give you another chance, but come prove it. You're not getting big money deals. And here's the other thing, Dre, too, and I'm glad you brought up like the conversations that we're going to have to wait and see about. It's all we're going to have to, all we can do is speculate right now in terms of what he was or wasn't promised, right, prior to the acquisition. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, if you felt like your best opportunity, you're playing for a contract, obviously. If you are Diontae Johnson, you're playing for your next NFL contract. And if you looked at the Ravens situation and it wasn't abundantly clear that you would have a prominent role, well, guess what, buddy? Like, you should have stayed in Carolina then. Now, granted, the football that you'd be playing right now would be completely irrelevant. But what wouldn't be irrelevant is the reps that you would have had as the number one to prove yourself for that next NFL contract. If you were all about winning, then come to Baltimore. You're not going to have a prominent role. If you're trying to get your next NFL contract, you should have stayed in Carolina and not put up a big stink to get out of there.
Yeah. And Bobby, can I say something to you on a on a life coach level?
Hit me.
Yo, listen. When it comes to any type of response, usually when it comes to women, you usually don't want to respond tit for tat, right? So I would just say, because I feel like you have the natural inclination to, from the small time that I've observed you, right? You have the natural inclination to be forward with someone about how you feel about them. I would tell you, don't negate that part of yourself, because guess what happens? You end up resenting yourself because you'll start to think, what if I would have talked? What if I would have said this? What if I would have said that? Right. So just from just a high level, bro, yo, if you have that natural inclination that you want to reach out, you want to text, don't. I know she kind of with the most recent situation, I know she kind of took forever to get back to you on a response, but don't respond with that. You feel what I'm saying? Don't do tit for tat. If you feel like you want to reach out, telling her something, let her know that you're interested, go ahead and do that. You feel what I'm saying? Like don't hold that part about, because that's your natural from the time that I've been getting to know you on this level. That seems to be your natural inclination.
I got you. Heard. I like it. I like the feedback. Too often my generation plays that game, right? Even though I am so unwillingly playing that game of cat and mouse. It's really not me naturally. So I appreciate the feedback, dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thanks for letting me get on, bro. I'll hit you up.
Catch up with you soon. Yep. Safe travels out there. As always, Dre Dog down south. Let's continue this. The guest lines are cooking today. We've got over 900 of you joining me concurrently across all platforms. You got to love when we can talk Diontae Johnson in one breath and my DC dating life in the other. That is right there. That's a beautiful thing right there. Malcolm, what's up, dude? Good to see you, dude.
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
It's been a minute. I've been getting in there early. Getting in there real early.
I'm just coming back from the Maldives, man. So I'm a little loud myself, but it's all good. You kind of
little pre-holiday little sun, huh?
Pre-birthday, man. My birthday, I turned 40 on last Friday, so I had to celebrate it. So
nice, man. Happy belated. Happy 4-0.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, about this Diontae Johnson thing, I think it's a couple of ways to look at it. I think somebody mentioned his press conference when he first came here. His press conference when he first came here, he wasn't like, "Oh man, I'm happy to be with a contender." He was kind of like, he wasn't really sold on being here. I didn't really think that he was like, "Well, I'm here now. Who knows what the future will bring?" He didn't really seem like he really wanted to be here. In the NFL, you can't necessarily block a trade. You know what I'm saying? You got to go pretty much where your rights are. What I will say is, I just think it's a generational thing. Guys in this generation that are really good, really talented, are used to hearing that all their lives. They're used to having things handed to them. I'm not saying that you don't work for what you get, but I think you get a sense of entitlement out of this generation that you didn't get from generations past. Now, I think with him, they're not going to let him go because, first of all, we want the comp pick. You can tell that Harbaugh is pissed because Harbaugh wants to cut him, and EDC like, nah. Because if you remember a situation a couple of years ago with LeGarrette Blount, he forced his way out of Pittsburgh and then won the Super Bowl with New England. Remember, he went back to New England and he won the Super Bowl. New England cleared him off waivers. So the last thing you want is Diontae Johnson going to, the Chiefs or the Bills and then catching 140 yards on us in the championship game. I think that would be folly. If you just sit him down, the Ravens hold all the cards. And as far as Tez Walker, I love Tez Walker. I'm a University of Miami guy. That's my school. And he used to cook us. So I was happy when the Ravens drafted him. So, I think all the potential is there for him to be a really good, solid receiver. So get him in the game. Even if you're not going to throw him the ball, defenses have to account to him. And if he gets open, toss him the ball. I don't really see it.
It was a good start for him. That toe tapper was a beauty.
Yeah.
First catch, first NFL touchdown. And as you're talking about this, just so that we're being clear and thorough, Odell Beckham Jr. has officially cleared waivers as expected. He is a free agent. The Ravens could bring him back for very, very little for the next month plus. I know it wouldn't be needle moving, but if you resolve this thing with Diontae Johnson, meaning you get him out of the building, why not bring OBJ in as an opportunity to at least have a little bit of insurance as you get ready for your postseason run?
Well, my opinion on that is who you going to cut off the active roster for him. I think what I would say with this, the way this team has had a coming to Jesus meeting, I'm still upset with Harbaugh's stubbornness on the offensive line. I can't make heads or tails of it. But Zach Orr with the defense, they have gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. They've made changes at every level to be a respectable defense. They're not allowing a lot of points, and even against the Eagles. I mean, they didn't get blown. I think they allowed 2 touchdowns against the Eagles. They allowed 2 touchdowns against the Chargers, but one of the touchdowns was in garbage time. So we got to put everything in context. That defense is playing like a top 10 defense right now. So sure. I would say who are you going to move from the active roster for OBJ? I think everybody that's playing now deserves to be on the roster. And that's just how I feel. I would much rather give Tez Walker, who has been in, and I talked to you about Tez Walker 7 weeks ago.
You did.
I would much rather give Tez Walker more opportunities. And that's the one thing that the Ravens don't do. They go away from the hot hand. That's why Hollywood Brown wanted to be traded. Get him on the field. Send him up the field on a go route, a post route, or something like that. Even if you don't throw him the ball, it's going to get somebody else open, And I think Todd Monken, going into the last couple of weeks of the season, he's going to have to really get in his bag, man. Because the offensive line has not been playing good from a run blocking perspective. That's why Derrick Henry ain't getting those big runs anymore. He's been chipping away, but he has not been as effective as he has been, previous weeks. And yeah, you can get away with that with the Giants because, Lamar is the best quarterback on the planet. But when you go deep in the playoffs and you're playing against teams with a superior defensive line, you're going to need to create some holes for Derrick. You know what I'm saying?
And that's been their struggle. Elite defensive fronts has been their struggle. Yeah. And we'll see if TJ Watt, by the way, is available for Pittsburgh coming up this weekend because he left the game yesterday, or at least at the end of the game was dealing with an ankle injury. So we'll see how he comes out of that one. But
and George Pickens too.
And Pickens, obviously, their offense is just straight up different when he's not involved, and you got to go lean on Calvin Austin and Freiermuth, the tight end. So clearly, Philadelphia, it was Steelers had no chance yesterday. And while it wasn't, it was just a 2-score game, it felt like it was 3 or 4 because of the stranglehold that the Eagles had on that game. So, hey, appreciate you, man, as always.
Not a problem, brother. See you around.
I'll catch up with you soon. Yep, for sure. Gym mates, gym partners. Hey, I want to, before we get back to the guest lines here, I just want to give a special shout out to a guy who apparently calls himself Slicer. So, excuse me, Slicer59 is actually Slicer. I'll slice and dice your ass if you call in here. I promise you that. Nothing physical, just verbally. Come put your money where your mouth is, Slicer59. We're all looking for you. And if you're in the house, come in my house. Let's go. Juice Box in the meantime. Good to see you, dude. What's going on?
What's going on?
How are things?
So the Diontae Johnson thing, when we picked him up, I didn't care that we got him. I thought it would be like, all right, cool. Like you said, he's supposed to be a man-to-man beater or whatever, right? And for me, I always thought the one thing Baltimore needed was they needed a George Pickens head case type of receiver, which is always good until you get those George Pickens head cases to show up. And it showed up, man. Like, you want your shot? And I'm like, all right, go get it. Nah, I don't want to go get it. Well, you know what? Get your ass to the back and go sit down, and we'll put somebody else in. And and I gotta admit, I shouldn't say I hate. I'm tired of John Harbaugh just as much as a lot of people in the chat, right? But if Mike Tomlin handled this the exact same way John Harbaugh and them have handled it, they'd be like, man, see, that's why he's the greatest coach ever. Like, he's deflecting, he's keeping it down, he's suppressing, and he sent his ass home. I don't know what else people want from him. Like, if you're not gonna play, you're not gonna play.
Or Juice, I'll even double it up, right? How about this? How about the way that Shanahan and company handled it? You don't think it's a distraction in Baltimore? Okay, I can get down with that. It's clearly an issue internally, but it may not be a distraction. San Francisco just eviscerated through the media post-game one of their own. Now, I'm not saying one of their own was in the right. No, he was in the wrong, and he should have been handled like that internally. Shanahan, Kittle, Ward, a number of other guys eviscerated him. They annihilated him through the media, and that creates more of a distraction. Now, maybe because they literally have like a 0.0001% chance of making the postseason, they're just like, screw it, let's blow this whole thing up. And they got big decisions that loom, by the way, in terms of paying or not paying Brock Purdy. But that's neither here nor there. The two organizations have handled it very, very differently. And to be honest with you, I was really surprised that San Francisco handled it that way because they're typically a very buttoned up group.
Right. But that just goes to, I hate to do it, giving Harbaugh and EDC and them credit for keeping it in-house and for the most part trying to keep it quiet and down, even though, listen, man, you know me and you, we both petty, we both like drama. And when the reporters ask him, they say, "Hey, John, what's up with that?" And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." Well, to follow up on the fact you don't want to talk about it, and then they ask him another question, and he get I want to hear the reasoning why, right? Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like you said, if we did what San Francisco did, everybody collectively would be like, "Oh crap, the season is now probably being over because, damn, man, everybody's fighting." I mean, look at Philly. Philly, everybody thought the sky was falling because first it was Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Then it was Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. And then they go out and they throw a couple touchdown passes as kumbaya. So I just think look, man, I know we want Lamar to have all the weapons and all the people in the world. But if somebody don't want to be there, and I agree with one of the earlier callers where he said Diontae's body language just didn't look right, and I think that's why I felt the same way they did, which was like, man, he don't seem, because you remember when OBJ left, left Cleveland, and then he went to the Rams, he was happy. Then he got hurt, he got his ring. Then when he signed with Baltimore, he was smiling, he was happy, he was dancing. Diontae, I don't see him celebrating out there with other people getting it. He just seemed like he was just like, I'm just here so I don't get fined, boss. You know, and if you're gonna have that attitude, then like I said, sit on the back and just wait. We'll get you a bus ticket and we'll get you up out of here.
Wouldn't you be happy to leave Cleveland too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I feel so sorry for the fans of Cleveland and the Raiders fans. Not so much the Jets fan because they went and got Aaron Rodgers. But the Browns, I feel sorry for their fans because the team wants to be good, but the organization doesn't. They want to buy a ring. You can't do that in the NFL. You could probably do that in baseball, but you can't do that in the NFL. And clearly, it doesn't work when you give Deshaun Watson all that money and he ain't done nothing. And even his last year, they got him this contract. All those stats was all garbage time because they had like 3 or 4 wins that whole year.
Juice, appreciate you for calling in, man. Great stuff.
No problem.
Catch up with you soon. You just heard Juice reference, by the way, John Harbaugh's press conference, just in case you're just tuning in. This is how he addressed the Diontae Johnson related topic earlier this afternoon.
Really, to be honest with you, and all I'm really thinking about right now is Pittsburgh and getting our team ready for Pittsburgh. So he won't be here this week, and next week will take care of itself.
John, I guess just one quick follow-up on that. I mean, why did you guys decide to handle it that way and not simply release it?
I'm really interested in Pittsburgh Steelers, to be honest with you. I know you guys want to hear the story. There's a lot of moving parts. There are reasons for doing things that are front office type reasons, you know. Do I want to sit here and get into all the different calculations that Eric makes? I really don't. I want to think about Pittsburgh and our team getting ready for Pittsburgh and the guys who are going to be here playing against Pittsburgh. That's my focus, 100%.
Oh, and an hour and 14 minutes and counting later, we continue the Diontae Johnson discussion. Let's go back down to Mexico City. Let's see if our guys got Wi-Fi this time. Manny, round 2, your thoughts on the Diontae Johnson discussion.
Okay, now I'm back in the car. My thoughts, something was... You can hear me?
We got you.
Okay, yeah, something happened.
Careful, will you? Be careful.
All right, I'm going to be careful. Quick note, because I want to touch on something that Toro said that it's not true. So, quick on the Diontae. Miscommunication, I think, from front office and coaching. So, I don't know what's going on. But the way that they are handling it, I think it's correct. You're not playing when your number is not called when it's called. All right, you're going to be benched, and you're not going to get traded because here is the organization standards, and if you're not into it, you go out. But going back to Taurus, OBJ served its purpose. Its purpose was to bring Lamar Jackson to us. So I still don't understand what George is saying that, OBJ didn't produce for us. No, he produced a contract for us. He get us our quarterback back. Yes, maybe on the field he wasn't quite ready, but number one goal that OBJ achieved that we wanted was Lamar back to the organization. So, what's your response, Torres? Huh? Come at me, bro.
You two, you're having a good little banter and back and forth in the chat, aren't you?
Well, not so much in the chat, but yeah. I think Diontae has to stay on a team. For as much as we want to bring OJ back, I think
you want to bring
either
OJ back?
No, I want not OJ, OBJ. Sorry. No, OJ Simpson is going for your Broncos because you have a white Bronco.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Jesus.
So
continue.
I want OBJ back because his purpose now is not on the field. His purpose is off the field. I want veteran leadership among wide receivers. I want him to talk to Diontae, what's going on, keep it cool. He's a wide receiver figure on the NFL, so maybe through him you can see what's going on his mind. If it's ego or if it's just, miscommunication over there. We're not going to know until a few years later on that subject. So bring him in. Who do you cut? Sadly, for everybody, but it's better for the overall team. Bye-bye, Brandon Stevens. Yes, because
now,
we got
Tre'Davious before you talk about that, because they would easily make that they would easily make a personnel adjustment to bring him in, right? That to me is not the conversation. It's the fact that they would have to invest a measly for NFL teams $200,000 in order to bring him in, and he just cleared waivers. Ditch Diontae Saga right now. He is dead weight. Bring Odell in. It won't be needle moving, but to your point, he's impactful internally, and maybe, just maybe, he helps you out with a catch or two as an insurance policy. Bring him back.
Yep. Yeah. Bring him back. I mean, Odell loves the organization. I mean, look at it this way. Jadeveon Clowney, that the most problematic edge on the NFL in the terms of locker room, as they said. He left Baltimore with a smile. Maybe a better taste on the AFC Championship. But the whole season, even his agent said, I've never seen him this happy after a season with a team. What does that tell you? The ambience on the locker room with Lamar, with Rashad would say, with everybody on defense, even with Marlo's podcasts and Instagram lives, but still he was happy. There's good things in the locker room, so why not bring OBJ back?
Listen, I'm going to play mediator. I'm going to play mediator for 60 seconds, okay? Because you just had the guy. You asked him, you called him out, and he has responded. So we're going to give a chance for you two to duke it out. It's going to be a 60-second thing. Each of you are going to get 30 seconds. I'm going to be in the middle screen. You're going to be on my left. And Mr. I of Torres, Texas's finest, is going to be on my right, okay? Torres gets his response first. Then Manny. Here we go, gentlemen. Go ahead, Torres.
Hey, man, I thought it was cool, man. What's going on, man? But look, OBJ got a deal worth up to $18 million. You know what everybody said that whole season? Oh, we stashing OBJ for the playoffs. He's going to be there for the playoffs. By week 3 or 4, I said, yo, he robbed us. His production for the whole year was under 500 yards and less than 5 touchdowns. We can get that from Bateman easily. We can get that from Tez Walker right now. We didn't need OBJ last year. That's just my opinion. That's all I was saying. And if that was the purpose of keeping Lamar, I made videos about it. I never understood it. But, I mean, I guess it was for ticket sales and stuff. So if that was the case, all right, whatever.
Manny?
All right, my response to that is that, yeah, he might not have been what we wanted him to be, even in the playoffs. But number one, purpose, because it was one of the conditions to get him back to Baltimore. OBJ and D-Hop, one or the both of them. And you got OBJ. We couldn't get D-Hop. Why? I don't know. We got to ask our new boss, EDC, since you're special teams. So on that side, I don't know. But hey, that's it. That was his whole purpose. Like looking at back, that was his whole purpose. Bring back Lamar and just make it work on the contract side. On the field, I think they knew that he was washed.
Gentlemen, thank you both
What do we
for
benefit
engaging
from,
in
though,
some
man?
civil
That's all
debate.
I got.
We're gonna stick a pin in it. All right. Thank you both for engaging in some civil debate. We'll catch
That's
up
all
with you guys
good,
soon.
man.
Travel
Yeah, y'all know,
safely. All
man.
right. Next time we'll actually open up
All
the
right,
boxing ring and get the gloves out. All right. But until then, we roll. Appreciate you guys. I love it. I love a good debate, and I love a good show where we just have endless callers, and that's exactly what this afternoon has been. I'm coming up on an hour and a half. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, exactly. Zone. I'm going to cause an accident. I'm going to be liable too. I had to get those guys off my channel as soon as possible to protect my own ass. Hey guys, in the show notes, I should say in the live chat as a pinned comment, you'll notice that I have a link that is free right now to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. I would love for you guys to do so. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. We talk Ravens football in the football room. We talk Orioles baseball in the chat, in the baseball chat. In general, we talk a little bit of everything, including my dating life, because why not? You can go to the live chat right now. It's a pinned comment. Please join. I would love for you to do it. And yeah, Evan, I have no idea where Mr. Slicer Dicer is. Does anybody know where Mr. Slicer Dicer is? At 4:25, roughly 20 minutes ago, he said he's not disappeared and I'm in this house. Well, okay, then walk in the front door, Slice. We're all waiting for you. You were awfully loud and boisterous and volatile earlier in the show. And then I looked you right in the face and told you to come on, and you declined that invitation. It's weak sauce. It's what we call weak sauce. Sauce that is weak. Mike Walker, appreciate the super chat donation, man. When Harbaugh is gone and we are back to 3 wins, I'm cooking all y'all, LOL. Y'all blame that dude because you don't feel good today. Harbaugh will always be underappreciated. That does not mean he is above criticism, of course, but I think he is universally underappreciated. And I think when you get to a certain level, like he and Mike Tomlin have reached, and you haven't won a Super Bowl in as many years, and in Mike Tomlin's case, you haven't won a playoff game in as many years. What is it, 2016, I think, for him, 2017? Yeah, that underappreciation noise will get louder and louder and louder. I'm going to give Mr. Slicey one more chance. He's been talking that junk all stream long, and I gave him a handwritten invitation. And I looked him right in the eye and said, Slice, if you're going to talk all that junk, if you're going to talk all that shit, if you're going to run your mouth like that, you got to at least come on and get split screen with me and tell it to me. Say it to my face. I have no idea where Slice is. I wish him the best. I cannot wait till the day that he calls in and I eviscerate him, much like Devondre Campbell was eviscerated last week by his peers, by his teammates. Come on, Mr. Slice. I've been known to slice and then dice, shake and then bake. Where you at, Slicey? Nowhere to be found. That's what I thought. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me. This was an awesome, awesome stream. Please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping daily live content. I've seen some comments from some of you that are like, oh, wow, he went early. If you hit that notification bell, you would have known that I went early. And you're right. I typically start at 5. But when the latest chapter of this ongoing saga drops between the Ravens and Diontae Johnson, I'm rolling. So anyway, for Mr. Slice and all of my great callers and my exceptional brand sponsor, which is Primary Residential Mortgage, I'm Bobby Trosset signing off from this one. Yeah, another bizarre turn. I think one thing that's safe to say is that Diontae's played his last down as a Baltimore Raven. Perhaps they go the OBJ route, but for now, they have mutually parted ways, at least for the week, when it comes to team activities. That's what the Ravens and Diontae Johnson announced earlier today. More to come. I appreciate you guys, as always, for being here. Like the video, do all those things on the way out, and I'll catch up with you soon.